All right, we are going to get into it. We have two really interesting and powerful panels happening before the intermission, and we are going to start by talking about AI. So I ask you to give a warm hand to Erik Wikander, co-founder of Wilgot, and Sofia Polyakova, Chief Operating Officer of Genera. Let's get into it. So, I mean, this is a topic that's been rife in our channels the past year, how AI is changing the fashion industry. And I wanted to bring in a couple of cases where we could look at this from a really hands-on, practical perspective. And we'll speak more with Erik and Sofia in a moment. But Linda, you're around talking all the time about this topic. From the perspective of kind of fashion and retail, what are some of the broad strokes? You know, how should we tackle this topic of AI in the industry? And what are you hearing?
Yeah, so of course everyone is talking about AI now, and AI is not only the ChatGPT new tool where you can speak and get information, creating pictures and stuff. When you really look at the fashion industry and the problems that we have with becoming more sustainable, efficient with our resources, but also the planet, all the way to how to be more relevant when we communicate with the customers, creating totally new customer experience, helping them to use what they own, sell what they don't own, and only buy what they need. AI is the key. So I would say it's everything from how we communicate and show up in the industry to everything around supply chain. We need to plan better. We need to give the designers more tools so they don't design what will not sell. All the way to planning a local assortment, because that is also a customer experience, having the right products at the right store in the right time, but also not being overstock, paying too much for not being out of stock. Today we have an industry that has 40% planned overproduction. The right numbers are higher. And we don't want to do that because it's hurting our planet, but also actually the margins. So I would say, yeah, and coming back to the problem with being relevant and the margins, one thing that is costly in this business is marketing. And today we are giving the marketeers the task to buy relevance and reach. And that doesn't work anymore, actually. It's getting more and more costly. And actually, it's not the new customer don't trust that. So we need to reshape how we communicate, how we create content, and we will talk about that really much, and how we show up. And yeah, AI can do that, but it's only a tool. It's so much more that needs to be in place, but it's a really great tool.
Well, let's get into it. And I want a great segue to Erik Wikander. Erik, you are the co-founder of Wilgot, and I'll let you introduce your innovation. But you've said previously that we're entering a kind of a post-Google world here. What does that mean for fashion brands and how we kind of discover products?
Yeah, so I really agree with the 40% overproduction number is just insane. And I think the shift that we're going to talk about now, I think, is a quiet revolution of this overproduction problem. But in general, the way we search for information and discover products and services is being fundamentally transformed and rewired because of AI. So if you look at the old world where Google was the dominant search engine, you Googled your way to discover products and services. That was a very imperfect market because in essence it meant that whoever spent the most money showed up. And in the post-AI world, it's actually the brands that are most relevant for the user's needs. And this shift is happening quicker than any shift in user behavior in the history of time. So I think it's comparable to when Google was released in 1998.
Right, right. And we have a couple of slides. Let me know if you want to bring something up. But give a sense of, get into that a little bit more. What is actually happening that we're not seeing? If we're not experiencing it, I mean, I think everyone in here is, working with ChatGPT or any similar product. I think AI is kind of seeping in. So
yeah.
I've certainly stopped using, maybe not stopped using Google search, but certainly less. So that's the transition that you're talking about.
Exactly. So if you pull up the first slide, I usually use this one to explain what's happening.
Is it this one?
No,
right?
the other one you had. So if you think about the market before AI search, it was a very imperfect market. It was kind of a monopoly where very few brands could win because the search behaviors were so simplistic. So 92% of all searches on the internet were for very simple words. So you would search for blue shirt. So that's where 92% of all searches were. Which meant that the only way you could get the customer's attention is by focusing on that blue shirt. And that's a very blunt search. Like there can be so much hidden in what the user is actually looking for. And then if you go kind of further into this scale, you have what's called the long tail. So the long tail is when someone expresses a more granular need in a search engine. And this market was previously, it was impossible to cater to it because we had humans creating content, and also only 8% of all searches were here. So there was no return on investment in focusing on that. But the opportunity here is kind of now this monopoly is being completely demolished. So if you take the next slide, we now see what's happening now with AI search. Is that we're searching in our own words, in conversational ways. So this started with ChatGPT when they launched GPT search, but Google is now at breakneck speed heading in this direction. So what this means is that this monopoly is being challenged, and brands now have the opportunity to become relevant for the specific customers looking for your specific product. So in a way, this will be a more perfect market than the old one, where only very few brands could win. And if you think about ChatGPT, how you converse with ChatGPT, then you end up really kind of deep into the long tail. But now with Google and what's coming with AI mode that they announced in May, even if you do put in a blue shirt in the search bar, they will take that search and transform it to, I'm getting very technical here, we weren't supposed to do that, but it's called a fan-out
We can
search.
get technical, as long as people understand what you're saying.
So they would do 100 searches on your behalf. Instead of searching for blue shirt, they will take all the information they know about you to make that more relevant. And that's a massive shift, because we now no longer have humans searching for the information, we have machines. And machines have a better ability to actually find what's relevant for you than comparing it to the blue link economy, where you had very kind of blunt ways of searching.
The blue links are the 10 blue links on a Google search
exactly.
result. Linda?
I just love this, because this is, just to translate, what is really do with the marketing is, if we before bought relevant and reach, now we need to make sure that we are getting found by the machines. So it's a totally different thing, and marketeers needs to understand this and ask the IT, and IT need to also understand this, because this is truly transforming marketing.
And I think the silver lining here is that if the old world, retailers or brands would give away 30% of their kind of spend to Google and Meta, like that, you bought attention. I think this is the quiet revolution that we have been waiting for, because OpenAI have in some ways confirmed that they will not do a ads model. They will do a commission-based model. So relevance will be more important than the one with the biggest budget. And that's a huge opportunity for the brands who capture it, because that could essentially mean that we will shift away our budgets from throwing it at American tech companies, and instead focusing on reinvesting that into making your products better, making them more relevant. I think that's a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, and also to get found. But the problem here is that you really need to have that attributes on every product so the machine can find you, and then it's hard to do it manual as we have done. So
exactly,
where do you come in here?
So that's what we're solving for. So we use AI to help brands discover what people are searching across AI search engines. And then match that to their products. When we do that in the first instance, we then also look at how customers describe your products. And then we kind of merge that into one to match your products to a search pattern and then regenerate those pages so that they are more in the words of your customers. And what that means is we do this locally by market. So if you have multiple markets, we can do it for any type of market because search patterns are very different. So if you do it for Australia, they are looking for one specific thing, and you may want to describe your product in a certain way. Germany, it's a different thing. But what you then get is more relevant products based on what users are actually searching for. And when we track then the visibility in AI search engines and at the end of the day, kind of the outcome of that product. So the old problem was if you had a large product catalog, it was not even possible as a human to kind of optimize based on what people are searching for. So AI is kind of taking over both the discovery side, but now also the kind of supply side. So we're moving to a much more machine-driven world, which can sound scary, kind of Terminator 2 style, but that's where we're heading.
But what does this mean for the actual consumer? We are out there searching for things. We are, instead of doing these blunt searches on Google, we interact with an LLM or with an AI. You mentioned OpenAI, they are the ones that produce or do ChatGPT. So we ask our machine assistants to serve us up something, and that search or that query or that conversation is much more granular, as you say. So I'm going to a wedding, it's it's outside of Stockholm, it's in this season. There's a lot of parameters in that search query, and that's what you're talking about, right? So it's
exactly.
much more parameters in a search.
And so the key thing here is relevance. So whatever you find will be much more relevant than the old world of the blue links. So tapping into the overproduction problem, I think if we think longer term, this would create a more perfect market where users discover the perfect product for them based on relevance rather than whoever paid the most to show up in your search results.
But also, if you get the data on what people are searching for, you have the demand there. So if you can also feedback that information into your planning, it would be a good thing.
When you are interacting with the brands or retailers that you're talking to, where do they begin implementing this, and what kind of challenges do they meet when they start thinking about this? In terms of maybe they have they already maybe lost some traffic from the kind of the old system, and they have to then create content or rewrite their website or rewrite their product descriptions or whatever it may be to serve up this new way of doing it? Where do we have to start?
Yeah, so I think we haven't yet seen, we have seen the kind of drop in traffic for retailers, but not in the kind of scale which other industries have seen so far. So healthcare, down 50%, also on like the top funnel.
50 or 50?
50.
50%.
So what we're seeing is that AI is eating up much more of the buyer journey. So impressions are going up, but clicks are going down. So less users are actually going to the websites because they stay inside the AI.
Wow.
So this is like, for some companies, this is now like management are starting to ask, like, why are we losing ground in search and so on. So then there's some explanation to be done from the SEO teams. But I think the sense of urgency is there because there's this massive tidal wave coming. And OpenAI, for example, they're launching GPT shopping. So that's more of an opportunity rather than a risk. But with AI mode that's coming, I think that will be the shift that we were going to see, that now is going to start showing up in the numbers.
Sure.
One thing that is interesting, I need to ask you, because if customer doesn't visit the e-com anymore, we don't, because the e-commerce has been the place for getting to know your customers, right? It's there we can analyze what they're searching for, what they like, what they are looking at, not buying, and vice versa. And the stores have tried to replicate that. And now, when they're not going in there, we are losing data of the customer.
Yep.
So how do you see that?
I mean, if you think about the implications, it is a massive one. Like just the implication of users not going to websites because the websites will become more like containers of content and products that will then serve the AI search engines. So that's like websites will die in the current form.
I have a website.
But I think the key thing here is then that, okay, so then what is important? Well, the important thing is that the AI knows your brand. So they will become the representation of your brand, kind of describing you. So they need to know everything about your brand, why customers love your products and what is important to them. So because in essence, they will decide who kind of gets to buy or who will buy your products.
So the content we put out there and how we craft that content will still matter, right?
Will matter more, I would say.
So as a writer, as a content person, I still have a job tomorrow.
For sure.
There's so much more to talk about. We're going to get back to you, Erik, but I think this is a great time to bring in Sofia. Thank you so much for being here. You came in from London, was it, yesterday?
Yes, it was London.
Before I'm going to let you explain Genera, and we have some visuals to show as well, because this is also mind-blowing. But Erik just talked about kind of the explosion of content needs. You know, where do you come in? What do Genera do to help brands meet up that content need?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, it's a pleasure to be here, Konrad, and share this scene with you. And Genera, so we are a technological company. We existed for almost 2 years on the market. And for 1 year or even more, we were building the content for fashion brands, solely enterprise level companies, to create more than 100 POCs and understand the quality.
There was an acronym there. What does that mean? POCs.
It's a proof of concept. So we were creating content that brands can, after place on their website, understand how it's trackable within their consumers and so on. So we were doing that for a year. We were creating POCs with the fashion companies that we can name as the industry leaders, and we were doing that to understand the quality needs and the needs of the enterprise level companies, to then transition and transform this technology to in-house SaaS platform, to kind of give away this technology to brands and to companies for their independent usage. So what we're built right now, what we launched, is the platform that can create PDPs, lookbooks, campaigns, design tools, and so on for brands in the same quality that they have a standard for. So basically, this is a first story.
We're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. I think we need to show people some of the stuff that you. This is truly mind blowing. And
sure.
Let's just start.
So it's a very small glimpse of how our platform look like.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so technological moments. So basically, this is an understanding how to create a project into our system. So you first choosing the poses for the PDPs. They can be fully customizable per your standard. Then you are uploading the actual items in the system that can be top, bottom, shoes, eyewear, bags, accessories, everything. Then you choose from the legitimate and ethical AI fashion models, which is important. Then you go to the stage where we're kind of simulating the photography process, because per one look you're doing 500 images and you would like to choose the best one. And then you have the result, basically, with the model you chose, with the pose you chose. And I have to say that this is a fully generic system, so it's haven't got any algorithm training for the brand's data, which we're doing, obviously, for the brands to make the content much more consistent. And this is the way how you can create at scale. So you can upload hundreds, thousands of items in the system, choose the standardized poses that you have and that you would like to see across all the PDPs. You are uploading it in batches or you're uploading it all together. Then, while you have the uploading process, the system replicating the item to the AI realm, and then you have all the looks combined all together with this specific model. So the operator, that we call the person who operates the system, can choose in a stylist way the looks, combine them in this stylist way, choose the model for each look, then create PDP, go relax, have a coffee for 15 minutes, and then see the result across the hundreds, again, thousands of PDPs at the same time, with the standard poses that they chose, with the models, with the specific set design, and so on and so on. So this is a very, very quick showcase of what we're doing.
We need to unpack this. There was so much happening in that video. But like what we're talking about here is like AI-generated fashion photography, lookbook photography, where we are bringing the actual physical garments, replicating them digitally, and then applying them on a model that you say you are responsibly created these models. I want to get back to that. And then you have the image, and you have as many images as you need. Going back a little bit, like why is this happening right now? Because I got in touch with you guys, I think late last year, and there is actually we produced a fashion story for Scandinavian MIND. It's on our website, on our front page, and tested out your technology. And it was just mind-blowing to me, where just like a year ago, I think people would say like, well, we can't replicate like the seams or the threads or the buttons. And obviously, if you're a brand and you want to sell something, that image of what you're selling needs to very much correspond with the actual reality. Otherwise, people will send it back, and you have this kind of loop of returns and overproduction again. So can you talk a little bit about like what are the unlocks the last year that had made this technology possible?
Of course. So I have to say firstly that that it's all about the standard, and it's all about not just creating a tool for content production. It's a deep knowledge and understanding of the industry, how demanding industry is for the quality, for the security, for the actual output. And because we came from a fashion background, our experience in the team is like more than 150 years in total in fashion. And also the technical background. And because we have this year to kind of have a preparations to understand what enterprise companies need. So for us, we understand that the fashion brand cannot allow to create content which will have incorrect buttons, incorrect stitching, incorrect fitting. It has to be perfect, because that is, at the end of the day, this is something that your consumer will see. And this is exactly what we're doing all this time, basically. And now we always the content that we created for Scandinavian MIND, which was done with your incredible team, and was campaigns, were created on the same technology that was obviously used only in-house in Genera. Now we are providing the access to this technology, so you can make that your own. So basically, the content we created, you can do this from your laptop at your home.
So I have a question, because I have been working many years with the fashion, and we have tested different digital creation of a lot of content. And they have said, yeah, maybe we can use it on social, but not on our website, because it's not right. So to get it right as you can, what do the fashion companies do? Do they need to have a digital twin 3D model, what do they need to do?
It's a great question. The system, again, because we understood that that pipelines in the brands can be different. Someone has the pack shot in the pipeline. Someone has a flat image of the item in the pipeline. Someone only have photos on the model shot on the iPhone, for example. We understood that we have to combine that. So we have to serve the needs. So you can basically upload a pack shot, upload a ghost mannequin photo, upload just photo that you shot on your item. The system will extract it, because what is behind the technology is the replication technology. And what we are, I can confidently say that leaders in the market is by our technology of replication of the clothing and humans. So our technology can recognize the structure of the fabric, the shape of the garment, how it has to be placed on the human's body, AI human's body as well. So all that was again built with the knowledge and understanding of how demanding the industry is.
Cool.
And before I open up the discussion of what this actually means for the industry, because there are so many implications, could you just walk us through this, these like the AI models and how you are working with them, because they're not just generated out of completely random. You have a strategy behind that.
Yes, absolutely. So coming back to the topic of how important it is to create a tool at the same level as the standard of the industry for the enterprise, we realize that, okay, we cannot create any AI human beings in a non-ethical way, because it's too dangerous. Because as you know, if you're creating AI human beings with open source algorithms like Magnifique or ChatGPT or anything else, they train their data on the open source. So they train the data on your Instagram, on your Facebook photos, on celebrity photos, and so on. And if someone will tell you, I look like this person from your advertising campaign, you will not have ability to prove the opposite. So because, again, we have satellite companies that owned by our CEO, Artem, who operates in the market, which companies operate in the market for more than 15 years, and they're creating content for Hollywood, for gaming industry, and for architecture. We sometimes borrow some methods from them. And that was exactly the case, because we're building our AI fashion models from scratch, as if you're building a character for a game or for a movie, with the 3D modeling, with the 3D rendering. And you can then track all stages of development of this phase. Maybe I'm now opening too much secrets for you, but we're all in the same boat. So in this case, we can be fully ethical and fully legitimate. And if there would be a situation when someone will tell you, okay, prove me that this is this is legit what you're done, we can show the whole stages of development. We're providing the certification, we're providing the IP ownership, and so on and so on and so on. And that is, again, coming back to the topic that you have to understand the industry from the inside, and understand how complex it is for integrating something like artificial intelligence.
So, I have so many questions. Talk to me about, like, where do you see this going for a brand? Do we completely abolish traditional photographers, or is this more like an opportunity to be more effective? I mean, I can really see it in terms of lookbooks, for instance. You know, outside every major fashion city in the world, you know, on the outskirts, there are these big hangars, these big studios where brands are like really struggling to shoot these like lookbook shots for the e-commerce and whatnot. They also now they have to film them. There's a demand for that. I can see that this technology kind of can come in and help replace that and give you much more options. But like, where do you see where brands are worried about automation and like replacing jobs, and how will this restructure the way we work?
It's a very complex question, Konrad.
I'm sure it is, but we're here for it.
Well, I have to start from some scary facts, honestly, because We do, in our team, we do have internal goal inside the company, as well as sharing the same goal with our partners, to have ability for them to create all content from whole production cycle with AI. So this is an internal goal of many companies at the moment. From the business perspective, obviously, to save time, save cost, be efficient. If we answering your question of where we at in the perspective of people losing jobs, well, right now we do see that so many companies are evolving with AI. So many new companies are being created with AI, and this is actually the shift that society already has before. So we had that when the internet was emerged, we had that when the electricity was emerged, and many experts now comparing the scale of transformations that we're leading to with the electricity, not even the internet. Back in the days, a lot of ancient craftsmanship, like a blacksmith, was just destroyed by it, but we don't think about this way. We think how much opportunities it gives to us, and we really encourage everyone to look at the same way with AI. And for the independent creator, like a photographer or a stylist, or a very small independent niche brand, I can name you 50 different ways of how to strengthen themselves rather than losing their jobs.
Right.
Yeah, just following that, because I am like an optimist, and I see so many new possibilities that we cannot do today because we are limited with all these photo shoots we have done twice a year, and then we have those pictures, and after a couple of years that model don't want us to use them, and at the same time the channel is growing where we want to be, and the opportunities to speak with a customer in a local way that we are talking about. It's not okay if you talk about like H&M when they entered South Africa. The people in South Africa said, yeah, we understand that it's Sweden that has come here, because the picture are, the marketing are Swedish, and you can see that. Other brands are doing it differently, but it's hard to be local when you are so global. But when you add AI to the old way of doing it, you can truly mix those two. If the quality are right and they can live side by side, you can have the corporate central photograph old way doing it that is truly, created from the soul and the heart and the human, combining with the smart content that is coming from the demand. And if we also add the search, so we truly know what people are searching for, maybe we can, bring the old ads, to the next level.
Yeah.
And then I think it's really, truly interesting.
Erik, did you want to?
No, I was just on relevance. I think that's always been a problem, like being locally relevant if you are a brand with a home market, and then trying to understand how consumers perceive what they actually want in that specific market. So I think that's a good example there with H&M. And we can also see that there's quite a big difference in what customers appreciate with products in each of the markets. That when we run our platform and do the analysis, we find so many interesting things that customers in Australia are looking for this thing that they're not talking about. But I think it's an opportunity rather than, like, if we think about AI replacing people, we think more about amplification. So what can AI do to amplify our current efforts? And this is a very tangible example. If you have 15,000 products that you sell to 10 markets, I mean, no human can sit and write. I mean, even you, Konrad, you couldn't write 150,000 texts. So then it's about how do you take the essence of the brand and how do you amplify how you want your brand to be perceived. So to do more and kind of be more relevant for each of your
But how do you, on that note, I want to ask both of you, because I mean, when we talk about this in the Scandinavian Mind platform, and we've done multiple podcasts and articles with both of you and other experts, we try to think of, like, you know, where does the human creativity come into play, and you know, basically our analysis of this is, you know, we feel like the designer or the creative director or whoever understands the tone of voice and the visual voice of a brand, that person is going to be 1,000 times more important in the future, because the more we give to machines in terms of execution, which is what we're talking about here, you know, amplifying 10,000 ads or product pages or in terms of genera like visuals. Where do you see that going? And I'd like both of you to answer this. Like, where do you see that voice of the brand coming in, and how do we capture that? Because if we have a world where everyone can kind of generate content in abundance, it's got to be so that the ones that actually have a point of view and a unique voice, to me, they're the ones that are winning. Erik first.
Yeah, and I think it kind of brings everything up to the surface. Like, who is your ideal customer? How do you want to talk to them? And how do you define your brand? And if you don't have that in place, that would be very clear if you try to do it at scale. So it kind of forces you to think about, like, how do we want to be perceived? Because we often see that, of course, we get the tonality brand platform always, and then we often then say, okay, but can you give us 10 or 100 content pieces that you really like? And then you put them side by side. It's like, they're not the same. So if you did a brand platform 2 years ago that you thought this was this thing, and then you kind of express your brand in a different way, those are humans who kind of taken that brand and express it in a way. So I think the key is to really be clear with your soul, like the brand's soul, and which I think this will surface a lot of discussions in management teams, like, what is our brand, who are our customers? So in a way it will kind of drive efforts.
Right, Sophia.
Well, so I think that first of all, those machines and those solutions and technologies has to be operated by someone, and the creative direction that you put in this in this solution has to come from the brand and from the real people, because at the end of the day, sense of taste and intuitive understanding, especially if we're speaking about fashion, because fashion is art in the ideal world, specifically for me. This intuitive understanding has to come from the creative director or from the creative team behind the brand. And we really have to be positive about that, and we really have to think about all those solutions as our big help to perform on the bigger scale and to basically make all our dreams come true. Because for example, for a small brand, first of all, it's a competition. Now independent designers have ability to compete within the level of the content with those leaders who have tremendous budgets on the shoots. And another interesting topic is that you can imagine that in 1 or 2 or 3 years, how competitive would be the field, because everyone will be able to create an incredible campaign with a spaceship and on the moon, with the incredible video of the runway and so on. So that is encouraging the creativity more, and that is exactly what our industry needs, I think. So I really think that we have to be on a very positive side with all this.
Encourage creativity more. We need to close it off. But Linda, do you have some closing comments?
Yeah, but I just a reflection, because Great.
And keep track of your brand's soul.
Yeah.
Erik Wikander and Sofia Polyakova, thank you so much for sharing your insights
Yeah.
here today.
Thank you.